Hello, friends. Happy Thursday. Hope your day is going great. It has not worked out for me for the last couple of days for me to go live, so I apologize for that. But yes, today's lesson, I actually had to read several times, twice. So I'm kind of glad I didn't go live the last couple of days because this is a lesson that was up for us to go through. And yeah, it's not that I didn't get it. I just felt like reading it as many times as I did, I understood it better, and that is key because if I'm explaining it to you guys, kind of, I need to understand it. So yes, so today we are starting chapter 44 in the book Essential Truths of the Christian Faith by R.C. Sproul, and we are starting this section of human beings and the fall. Okay, we just finished the Holy Spirit earlier this week. This is section 5. Okay, so let's start. So knowledge of self and knowledge of God. And I think it took me a couple of days to read it and understand it because now we're in a way kind of talking about philosophy. And this is not one of my favorite subjects, to be honest with you. I think going through school and having to take a philosophy course, I was like, what in the world? Honestly, I think maybe I was just mentally very lazy. So when it came to thinking about things like this, I'm like, too much. And yeah, it was just confusing to me, and just even secular philosophy to me is very confusing. But in all honesty, reading through this and understanding that even philosophy points to God, even us reasoning and thinking, God welcomes our doubts, God welcomes all that because he makes sense in that way. That if we think about it, and if we don't add God to the equation of who we are and why we're here, I feel like we have a lot more questions. But because, there is a God who exists, a creator who created us, everything else falls into place. Everything else makes sense. And maybe I was just weak in my faith. I don't know. But when I took that philosophy course, I'm like, what in the world? But again, adding God to the equation of this, makes everything else makes sense in that way. So enough talk. Again, knowledge of self and knowledge of God and why they go hand in hand. Okay, so she says, R.C. Sproul says, when a baby is born, its entrance into the world is customarily accompanied by a sharp slap to its bottom. We don't do that anymore. I'm just saying that's old school, where the baby would come out and they would slap the butt to have the baby to scream. We don't do that anymore. I worked at a hospital. We don't do that anymore. But anyways, some hospitals in the world might still be doing that. The normal response of the infant is a wail of screeching protest. Why does the baby cry? Is the baby a response to pain, to fear, to anger? All right. Perhaps the cry is provoked by all of the above. Our entrance into the world is marked by the sound and the fury. This initial protest is guarded by some as a summation, not only of the meaning of birth, but of the meaning of entirely of life. So he's saying, okay, the baby cries and it's literally just a response of being born, because if you don't have God in this world, honestly, you would cry, okay? Because of what everything entails living in this life, pretty much. He quotes a book from Shakespeare called Macbeth. I remember reading that book in high school. Yeah, very, very deep. I didn't understand half of it. But he quotes Macbeth here. He says, life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. 'Tis a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. So even people who do not fear God understand this world. In a way, it's so sad, because if you don't have God, it really doesn't make sense. It really doesn't, So in knowing the knowledge of ourselves, we need to know the knowledge of God, of who he is. So I love how even he quotes here Macbeth, saying that even people who don't know God understand this and they get it. Even in philosophy, they get it. Wow, it's very sad, this world, if we don't have a God or a higher being. Yet they still choose to not, some still choose not to follow God. To signify nothing, meaning us if we don't have God, is to be utterly and completely insignificant. To be insignificant is to be meaningless. To be meaningless is to be without value or worth. My significance, meaning his, and yours, is tied to the question, who are we and what are we? I feel like that's even just the basis of philosophy. Who are we? Why are we here? You know what I'm saying? Like, we have these brains that think, these minds that can think logically, etc. And yet we're here in this world that, quote unquote, we don't know why we got here. Who are we? What's our ending, etc. It is a question of identity. My identity is ultimately connected with my relationship with God. That's why knowledge of God leads us to knowledge of ourselves. So if we want to know who we are, we need to know who our creator is. We need to know why we're even here, okay? Before we even answer that question or those questions, who are we or what are we? All right? I cannot understand who or what I am without understanding who or what God is. That is where the origin is. There is a mutual dependence between our knowledge of ourselves and our knowledge of God. As soon as I am aware of myself as a self, I realize that I am not God. I am a creature. Once I realize who I am and I realize who God is, I know who I am. It kind of affirms who I am, that I am a creature, that I am not this almighty God. I have a birthday, a time when my life began on earth. Everybody here has a birthday. I promise you, true fact. My tombstone at my death will not engrave eternity as my starting point. So when we die, our tombstones are not going to say, okay, he started in eternity and will continue in eternity. No. And the author here says, I don't know the final date of my tombstone, but the first date was 1939. So he was born in 1939. This author actually passed away last year, so we know the end date of his life. My sense of creatureliness drives my thinking back to my creator, or up to my creator. I cannot contemplate God or anything else outside of myself until I am first aware of myself. Yet, I cannot grasp the meaning of myself fully until I understand myself in relationship to God. I love and I underlined here the word fully. I cannot fully understand who I am, because a concept of who I am I have, right? I am a human being. My name is Annie. I am a female, etc., etc. I have feelings, blah, blah, blah. I'm here. I'm a nurse. That's kind of a sense of who I am because it's what I know. But for me to fully understand who I am, right? Because I had no say of even coming into this world. So what do I make of that? You know, again, so understanding me is understanding God first. And after I understand God, then I can fully understand who I am in relationship to God. So he comes first in that sense. Ultimately then, anthropology, the study of mankind, is a subdivision of theology, the study of God. So you have anthropology, which is a study of mankind, and theology, the study of God, right? So he's saying that ultimately the study of man is a subdivision of the study of God, okay? The crisis of modern humanity is found in the rupture between anthropology and theology, between the study of human beings and the study of God. Okay, so that's what modern humanity has. It's like a crisis because it separates them, theology and anthropology. When our story is told in isolation or divorced from the story of God, then it indeed becomes a tale told by idiots, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. So when we take even who we are, the study of mankind, away from the study of God and who God is, it's literally nonsense. And again, he quotes Macbeth, a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, meaning no significance, nothing, okay? If we are considered without reference to God, we become a useless passion. A philosopher, Jean-Paul Sartre, I think as you pronounce it, declared, what is a useless passion? A passion is intense feeling. Human life is marked by intense feelings. They include such passions as love, hate, fear, guilt, ambition, lust, envy, jealousy, and a host of others. As creatures, we have deep feelings about our lives. The question haunts us, are all these feelings useless? Is all our striving and caring merely an exercise in futility or excursion of vanity? Meaning everything that we're going through in life, all these feelings, all these intense feelings, all these passions that we have, the things that we do, is it meaningless? Because again, if we don't have God in the equation, they are. And I was talking to a friend yesterday and I was telling her how useless this life can be. And it's even a privilege to understand that how useless life is if we don't have God. If we don't have God to to give us that answer. Knowing who he is gives us our identity and who we are. So this chapter goes on, but I'm gonna stop right here, because I feel like there's a lot more that I want to say, and I'm gonna go over my time period, so I don't want to. But dwell on that and think about that. And if you haven't done so, that this is why we even study theology, because we know who God is and his purpose and his ways. It, again, like a side effect, kind of like collateral damage in that way, we can kind of know who we are. You know what I'm saying? In our identity, we understand that it comes from him. So that's a little bit of this chapter. And like I said, we'll finish it tomorrow. Dwell on that. Think about that. Don't forget, if you have any prayer requests, let me know. I'll add you to our prayer list. And if you have any questions about anything that I'm saying here, let me know and we can discuss it through private message. Have an amazing day. And hopefully, Lord willing, I will see you guys tomorrow.